I'm back! Welcome back to the Cage Review, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kevin Jackwitz, and it's funny because the very first movie review I ever did for my channel was the original Justice League movie in 2017. And so what better and more appropriate way to come back than to relive the same movie with Zack Snyder's complete vision. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to do this review in two parts. First part is going to be a non-spoiler review, just giving my thoughts about the movie, maybe a little comparison thought. And then I'm going to do a part two, which is going to be the spoiler talk. So ladies and gentlemen, this is a movie that has been highly anticipated, been very built up. This is a movie that literally came because of the fan outcry over what Warner Brothers and Joss Whedon did to the original Justice League movie. It felt rushed, it was very choppy, it had no sense of self, and that's partly because it had two voices behind the movie. You had Zack Snyder, who originally started to direct the movie, and then of course Joss Whedon, who took over when tragedy struck Snyder's family and he had to leave. And so it had both personalities, and they didn't gel very well. There were a lot of production problems. You had Henry Cavill with the mustache. And so coming back, I was very interested in this, and I was worried. I was very apprehensive about this movie because I wanted it to be good. Like, I'm a DC guy at heart. I own the Death of Superman comic line. I own Nightfall, the Batman, Breaking of Batman. I have a lot of Justice League comics. I have a lot of Teen Titans, stuff with Cyborg. I have a lot of Flash. So this is something I really, really wanted to see succeed. And I have to say, after watching the movie straight through, no breaks, because I was completely engrossed in it, they did a wonderful job. This is a better movie than the 2017 theater cut in every way, shape, and form. This is more coherent. It's got great character development. It's got great team development. You get a lot more backstory for a couple of characters. You get a lot of extra footage. I mean, of course, you have 2 extra hours in the movie for build-up, so you should have that. But there were so many little things throughout this movie that made it amazing. So by comparison, much better. Much, much better movie. So let's talk about the movie as a whole. There were a couple of choices that I will try to get out of the way as negatives, and it mainly had to do with music. There was a lot of talk about the music that Zack Snyder chose for this movie. A lot of it I thought was really, really good and really added something to the movie. There were a couple of choices, and especially right at the beginning, there were 2 songs in particular that felt very misplaced and actually kind of took me out of it for a second. And I was starting to get that, oh no, I don't know if this is the direction I want it to go. But thankfully it course corrects very quickly, and it's a very, very minor thing at the end of the day. The movie is, by the numbers, kind of the same story that you had in 2017, but much more fleshed out. You have time to really get to know these characters and get to care about them, and there's much more emotional impact when things happen. And I really love the acting performances from a couple of actors that we really didn't get to see enough of in the first movie. Ciarán Hinds is definitely one of them as Steppenwolf. You have a main antagonist now that has purpose. He is given direction. You understand his motives. And I've always said that if you're going to make a movie like this, your hero movies are only as good as their villains, because you're focusing on the hero. You're focusing on building up this hero to be everything he's supposed to be, and in this case, a collection of heroes. So you have to have a villain that means something. And in this case, they really, really did a much better job of making Steppenwolf understandable. And that, to me, was very important for this movie. You actually got to see a lot more characters in this movie, and I'm not going to say everything because that's spoiler talk. But there were definitely some things that you saw. It was like, that's really cool. Now, we kind of all know that Darkseid is there. You see him in several trailers. When Darkseid shows up, it's very cool for me. Now, I'll be honest. I've always thought that Doomsday was really the main big bad in the Superman comics. I like Darkseid. He's amazing. You know, he's the original Thanos. But I've always felt that Doomsday was just that overpowered character. So I actually wish they had done the reverse, done Darkseid and then went into Doomsday. Because how do you beat Doomsday? But this is the direction they chose, and I understand why they chose it. It actually gives a very cool story when it goes full circle. But Darkseid, it was amazing to see him in this movie. And, you know, again, from the trailers, you get to see the Omega beams. I'm sold right there. Like, come on, dude. How many years have we been waiting to see something like that? So, what I really loved about this movie more than anything was two characters in particular really felt like they were pointless in the original 2017 theatrical release, and that is The Flash and Cyborg. Like, Cyborg had a little bit to do there, but in this cut, Ray Fisher has a lot more heart and soul in this movie. He really is kind of a central focus of this movie. And there's a lot of exposition that kind of revolves around Cyborg. You get to see a lot more of his backstory and see him dealing with the struggles of becoming Cyborg. It was very cool. I really loved it, and Ray Fisher knocked it out of the park. Ezra Miller, still the comedy relief, but he has some great sequences in this movie, especially toward the end. I was blown away that they actually used one of the things that I know to be true of The Flash. It was awesome. It was really amazing. So, you have a much better Cyborg, a much better Flash, I think. They took away a lot of the comedy relief from Batman, because, I mean, honestly, Batman's this dark, brooding character. I think a lot of the jokes were not necessary in the 2017 cut. I wanted Batman to be Batman, and they really made him feel like Batman. You know, the guy who is phenomenally rich, incredibly smart, and using all his abilities to put this team together. He really is kind of the matchmaker here. Superman. I mean, it was just completely amazing when they brought him out. It was a little bit of an extended fight scene when he woke up and he starts fighting the rest of the Justice League in that bit. I thought that was very cool to see a couple of the extra scenes that they had there. And then everything else is kind of basically the same as 2017, maybe a little bit more expanded on, but not much different there. Wonder Woman here is absolutely a badass. Just absolutely a badass. The opening scene where Wonder Woman is trying to save the kids from these guys that have the bomb, that scene is much longer and much harsher, and I love that Zack Snyder kind of went the gods among men route with the DC universe, because you have these super powered beings, and really, what could we do against them? They're just overpowered as hell. And so it really is kind of this gods among us type scenario. And I really love that Snyder went that route with it. There are a lot of things that I didn't expect to see in this movie that I was very happy with. When I get into spoilers, I'm going to talk about certain things that I actually did like a little bit more in the 2017 release over the Zack Snyder release. But they're few and far between. And overall, much better movie, much better acting, much more coherent storyline. There were a couple of times when the graphics, you know, they're working on a very limited budget for a 4-hour movie remake here. So I'm giving that a little bit of leeway because this was not a big budget release, although it was $70 million, so it's not like it's a small amount of money. But I am quite sure that when people see this, it is going to spread like wildfire. The news about how good this movie is really going to run through the community, for fans, and it's going to be seen. And I am thrilled about that because after watching this movie, I really want Zack Snyder back at the helm, directing the lead movies for the DCEU or whatever it's being called now. Because it shows that he has a vision, and that vision, when he executes it well, he's second to none. Like, this was epic in every way, shape, and form. I don't want to give too much more away right there, so I'm going to just leave that right there where it is. I really liked a lot of the acting here. I thought it was a much, much better put together movie. And I was super excited. Like, there was a lot of fan service here, and that's okay. I love fan service. That's what we're here for. A good movie that gives us what we want. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to give this a strong 8.5 out of 10. It wasn't perfect. There were definitely a couple of problems with it. A couple lulls in it as far as pacing goes, but it's 4 hours. And honestly, for 4 hours, it didn't feel bad at all. Like, the lulls did not seem overbearing. So that's something important to take away too. 4 hours did not feel like 4 hours. You lose yourself in this movie, in the story, in the characters. Like, you truly get immersed. And so that's a key point right there. That just goes to say, like how good of a job I think Snyder did with this. So yeah, we'll come back, we'll get into spoiler talk, we'll have some fun with it. Ladies and gentlemen, 8.5 out of 10. Could not be more thrilled. Restore the Snyderverse. Just absolutely amazing. So thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kevin Jackwitz. Cage Nation, out.